Hey everybody, this episode of Better Content Everywhere is all about podcasting. Hey everyone, welcome to Better Content Everywhere. This is the podcast that's going to help you create clear, consistent, and compelling content no matter where you're creating. Our digestible and bingeable episodes are created to give you one key learning every single episode in a format that's going to slide right into your busy schedule. So today we're going to talk about honing your podcast. That's the next step. Once you've started it, now you've got to hone it. So you've done the work to get your podcast up and off the ground. Awesome. Now the real work begins. There are several areas of your podcast that you're going to want to hone and polish. And you're going to need to consider your main concept to see what's working and what's not. But you also want to be thinking about operational process and opportunities as well as your key performance indicators. How are you going to measure this thing? How are you going to know if it's working? So set aside a block of time each week and you're going to evaluate what's working and what's not. And you're going to take maybe just 20 minutes and write down some of your learnings in the last week. And that's going to bring you a surprising amount of clarity. And if you keep a notebook that is dedicated to this purpose, and at the top of each page, write down the name of your podcast, the current big idea that you're working on, who it's for, and your KPIs. That way, you can keep focus and make sure that you're always coming back to that big idea, to that bigger vision of your podcast. You won't lose it. This honing process, though, unfortunately, is never finished. You're going to find that, you're going to hit your stride in a few months and your episodes are going to be rocking and rolling and you're going to be tempted to stop thinking about where you need to improve or adjust or elevate. You're going to have a routine that works. You're going to stop taking the time to write down your learnings and it's going to feel a little bit easy, right? That's exactly when you're going to be at the biggest risk of losing that spark that made it all work in the first place. So as you go beyond those initial months of broadcasting, it's really important that you still find time to reflect and evaluate your own show. You may not need to do it every week at this point, but you should keep at least once a month dedicated to that 20 minutes of thinking only about the show. The next step here, as you're honing and polishing your show, begins with your audience. Find ways to engage that audience through your show so you can create some opportunities for feedback. There are so many opportunities, whether through polls or conversation starters and social media posts, online community groups, in-person events, or even just simple surveys. That audience feedback is going to be an important component for your podcast's evolution, but it's one data point in the analysis. You're also going to want to consider actual performance to see if your podcast is giving you the results that you hoped for. And you'll want to look beyond downloads because that can get a little bit depressing, to be quite honest. So you might look at things like, how are your social metrics looking? What kind of growth have you seen in your followers? Or how much engagement growth have you seen? Have you increased inbound activity? Are you getting more calls? Are you getting more form fills on your web pages? Maybe how have your content publishing efforts improved? Do you have any, conversation data or actual sales or new subscribers? You can measure those kinds of things, and that can help you know if your podcast is being successful. As you continue on your podcast journey, if you can remain committed to a consistent honing of your show, you're going to be able to sharpen that podcast to make sure that it's having its maximum impact. If you've got any questions, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to chat with you about your podcast. Thanks for listening. As always, like us, rate us, subscribe us, do all the things. And until we get a chance to talk again, keep it clear, keep it consistent, and keep it compelling.